never in crowd control is an AK-47 used. I mean, I'm really shocked. And I don't have any explanation. Then finally, when you're really threatened for life, then you use firing. But that firing is also below the waist, so that, it's not to kill. Unlike the army, army shoots because it comes during absolute emergency. So this is ridiculous, actually, Neelu, and this is quite disturbing. The Home Minister, the Union Home Minister, has to talk to the State Chief Minister and tell him, because it's a BJP state, and say that, you better answer this question and ask the State Home Minister, you give a statement, give an explanation how this was used, because mere suspension is not enough.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. All around, you can just see reports after reports on how police has inflicted brutalities on the students, whether it is in Bihar, whether it is in Assam, Bengal, Delhi, and all this happened during this Gen Z movement, which kicked off recently. And of course, fulcrum was the Jantar Mantar. Now there is a report by the Indian Express which talks about a CRPF inquiry which clearly says that 7 rounds of pellets were fired. And one of the victims, even Rahul Gandhi had showed him Sahil Jacob. He was a 19-year-old student who almost lost his one eye. But another horrifying report now comes out from Bihar's Siwan, where AK-47 was used by the police personnel on 25th when Bihar Bandh was called. And this is something which the opposition had raised in parliament today. The pellet guns in Delhi and AK-47 in Bihar. Who is accountable for this? They are seeking reply from Home Minister Amit Shah, but amidst all the din and the mayhem, the parliament got adjourned for the day. In fact, both houses got adjourned with no answers. Now, Saurav Das has just put out a statement just a short while back, and that very statement points out to a lot of things. I'm just going to read out what Saurav Das has said. We are deeply concerned by multiple reports reaching us of students and other protesters being targeted, detained, or arrested by various state agencies, particularly in Assam, West Bengal, and Bihar. The Cockroach Janata Party had called off its nationwide protest only after the government of India assured us that no punitive action would be taken against any protester, either now or in the future. In any BJP-ruled or NDA-ruled states, the reports emerging from these states are therefore a matter of grave concern. First, we wish to assure every protester that our legal team is already coordinating with brilliant lawyers in the concerned states to secure the release of those detained and to extend all possible legal assistance. This has been happening from day one. Second, we call upon the government of India, particularly JP Nadda ji and Dr. Jiten Singh ji, to immediately honor the assurance given to us by ensuring the release of those detained and by directing that no coercive or retaliatory action is taken against any protester anywhere in the country. The FIRs registered ought to be withdrawn too. The government of India is also reminded of its commitment to furnish us the written guarantee in this regard by tomorrow, Tuesday, 28 July 2026. Our decision to suspend the nationwide protest was taken in good faith and solely on the basis of the government's assurance that it would stand by its word. Any departure from that assurance would not merely amount to the breach of trust with the Cockroach Janata Party, but would also be a breach of public trust with lakhs of young Indians who chose dialogue over protest. It's a long tweet. I'm not reading the entire portion. But what has the government been doing in the last few days to show that they are pretty serious about what Gen Z has been talking about? Prime Minister Modi has been shooting Instagram reels where he has spoken about fast-track courts. Last evening also, he shot an Instagram reel and he said that we have set up a special task force now under the leadership of Nandan Nilekani. Then today, there was an anti-paper leak bill which was introduced by Jiten Singh, which of course couldn't be discussed and deliberated upon because of the opposition, which was seeking answers and demanding accountability from Home Minister Amit Shah. But what can one say really about the police brutalities? On whose direction was the pellet gun used? On whose direction was the AK-47 leashed out on students? I'm told that some 3 students are seriously injured and they are hospitalized. So we'll talk about all this and much more. Joining me this evening is Special Director to IB. He's been a former IPS officer, Securities Secretary to the Government of India, and also Central Information Commissioner. Yashovardhan Azad joins us this evening. Mr. Azad, thank you so much for joining. And these reports coming in from Bihar, where AK-47 was used by a police personnel, and the latest being that the police personnel has been suspended for now. But how could he use an AK-47 on students all by himself? Somebody, I'm sure, would have told him to do so.
Yeah, it's extremely disturbing. I saw some media reports that this fellow was a gunman to the SP, and he was having AK-47. And under what circumstances he actually fired at the students, I don't know. What damage was done, that also I'm not aware. But never in crowd control is an AK-47 used. I mean, I'm really shocked. And I don't have any explanation. In fact, the explanation should be given by the government. And the very fact that this constable has been suspended means that he acted on his own. I mean, because, whenever you give a weapon like AK-47, then obviously it is in a section, it is in a platoon, where is the platoon commander which uses it. But in crowd control, we never use things like AK-47. So absolutely a wrong call, absolutely a wrong action, and extremely extremely disturbing in a democracy. And I think the state government ought to explain this.
State government ought to explain this. And also, do you think that the answers should come from Home Minister Amit Shah, who happens to be the Union Home Minister?
No, the law and order handling is a state subject, and it has been used in Bihar. So I think the person who should actually answer is the SP as to how this was allowed, because he's the man who's instrumental as the chief of the operation against any kind of a disturbance. There is a thing called public law and order, and there is called public order is something which is disturbing the nation. There is a huge kind of a crisis, emergency or something. But this is law and order. This is where you use the general, the operations for crowd control. You have tear gas, you have water cannons, you have first negotiation, announcement, and then finally, when you're really threatened for life, then you use firing. But that firing is also below the waist, so that it's not to kill. Unlike the army. Army shoots because it comes during absolute emergency. So this is ridiculous, actually, Neelu, and this is quite disturbing. So the answer in this case has to be given by the state home minister. That's why I said, the state. State means Bihar state, and the Bihar home minister, the DGP, the home secretary.
But you've had a long, illustrious career in police. Have you ever seen any incident like this before in your career, where for crowd control, AK-47 is being used?
Neelu, never. Because, I've been in I've run through 5 districts, additional SP, and all that, in various places where we've had massive lathi charges. I was in Bhopal also as DIG, but we never used this kind of weapon. This is not used. In fact, to tell you the truth, our first aim is not to use firing. Firing is used as last resort. I mean, I can give you an example of Sagar, where we had a bitter battle with the students. They were trying to sort of postpone the exams in Hari Gaur Vishwavidyalaya in Sagar. and there were about 140 students injured. There were 70, 80 policemen injured, but there was no use of such weapons. It was tear gassing, it was mild lathi charge. There's no such thing as mild lathi charge, of course. But I have never seen this kind of weapon be. It's ridiculous. And not really ridiculous, it's disturbing, I would say. And the state government, the home minister, they should answer as to how this was used. And that's suspending merely a constable is not good enough, because, the constable is firing. Why? Was there a kind of a threat to his own life? Was he overwhelmed? Was he surrounded by the crowd? So there should be some kind of inquiry, and government should announce it as to why it has happened.
Right. I also want to talk to you about there was a hearing on the police brutalities in Supreme Court today, and what Supreme Court said also was very important. Now, this was Chief Justice of India, Justice Surikant, who said, and I'm quoting, "Right to peaceful, lawful protest absolutely guaranteed under Constitution, so long as it is peaceful agitation. Merely because there is agitation, there can't be excess." He's talking about the police excesses. If there is excess committed, it should be independently examined. It's not only a case of Delhi, uniformity in protocol required. Merely because agitation there doesn't mean lathi charge, discipline integral to democratic process. Now, the very fact that the court felt the need of some sort of a uniformity in protocol, do you think that that is really needed at this point of time, that some sort of a uniform protocol should be made? Already there are graded responses which are there in the book, which have to be followed in letter and spirit. It is all the police personnel are trained for all this. And even then, if it is not happening, so what kind of a difference is it going to make now that if Justice Surikant asks for some sort of a uniformity in protocol as far as the protests are concerned?
I really don't understand how even Supreme Court can give an order like this, because
actually, yes,
protocol is actually laid down. Either you say that here excesses have been committed and there have been allegations, so there should be an inquiry into it. Only then you will, you see, people are alleging that there are excesses, and there are certain instances also where the excesses are shown, or the police unprofessionalism is there. So I don't understand the order. What the Supreme Court is saying is right, but everyone knows it, that just because there is a law and order, or just because there is a demonstration, there should not be police excesses. That's well known.
How would you read this observation by the Supreme Court? All the petitions have now been bundled. The hearing is tomorrow. But now the very fact that Supreme Court is saying all this, and you remember Chief Justice of India, Justice Surikant, he was not ready to even look at the footage of the police barbarity in his last hearing. And that statement went viral. People criticized him that how can he be so callous? And today now he says that there is a need for some sort of a uniformity in protocol. I'm just not able to understand the logic. I would want you to comment on the logic of it. What does he mean?
Well, first of all, I don't understand. Last time when he had waved it off by saying police brutality, let's, not discuss it or whatever. And today he's saying there should be some kind of uniformity, but there is already a uniformity. There is already a set protocol. The question is, I don't think we should attach much importance. He has said it as a preliminary comment. Yes, if there is a demonstration, there shouldn't be police excesses. And tomorrow is actually the hearing of the petition. So I think the real stuff will come out tomorrow, what he thinks. Because I think the main issue in this, Neelu, is that people have alleged that there's excesses, right? The use of pellet guns, for example, the hitting of the bystanders, the chasing of the doctors away, plainclothes policemen being used, no names, badges and things like that. So, you can count that these are unprofessional acts. So the question is whether the Supreme Court announces an inquiry. After all, Supreme Court can say, yes, it's right. Supreme Court will only have to announce, as a judicial inquiry, or say that, state, they will first ask a reply from the state. They'll give them time and then give its verdict whether it needs a proper inquiry or not. I think that's how the procedure should be. But I thought this should be dealt with at the High Court level, because this is clearly the jurisdiction of the High Court. But nevertheless, I don't know.
Yeah, those petitions are going to be heard tomorrow. But the kind of response which has come from Cockroach Janata Party, they are trying to remind the government the day when they had their talks with Jiten Singh and JP Nadda. They were told by the government, I mean, JP Nadda and Jiten Singh, that they will give a written assurance by Tuesday. Now, Tuesday is tomorrow, that is 28th of July. And Cockroach Party is reminding the government to honor whatever they had assured. And before that, all these stories about the pellet guns, AK-47, all that is coming out. How hopeful are you that the government is really going to honor its commitment? Because they said that we withdraw all the cases, there will be no FIRs. But look at what is happening in Patna. What I'm told, I just spoke to a person in Patna. He was saying that there are students who are being picked up from the hostels. There are more than 500 students against either they are detained or they have faced arrests. This is what is happening in Bihar. So what is the kind of message which, even if it is happening in a state like Bihar and the state government is responsible for that, but even then the questions will be asked of the state, union government as to what they have assured the Gen Z and what they are ending up doing in states like Bihar.
Well, Neelu, from what you were reading out, there was a very long text which you were just reading out. And I'm really not sure, as you are asking me, I'm really not sure what exactly were the terms of engagement and what was the actual decision. I was under the impression, you see, I thought the difference lay in the fact that the Cockroach Party wanted withdrawal of all cases. That means no cases to be instituted against the students. Whereas the government was talking about those people who had damaged the public property, who were taking action against the policemen, violent. They had reacted against the policemen in a very, very violent manner. So I think there were differences on that particular point. And maybe the forces are sticking to the point that really you can't beat policemen, and that's a fact, and you can't damage police vehicles. Perhaps this aspect was not clarified. And whether it was an all India call or not, I don't know. Because you see, every state where the law and order is taking place, it's managed by the state government. So
no, there was a nationwide call which was given for the protest. There was a nationwide call which Cockroach Janata Party had given. In fact, they were going for a second nationwide call, and that's when they thought of talking to the government, and then Dharmendra Pradhan resigned. So the story was over almost. But what would you say? I mean, does it look like? Does it seem that apparently the government is not living up to its assurances, and would that not amount to cheating the Gen Z? Because they gave an assurance that there will be no cases, and now here you've detained people, the students have faced arrest.
There is a tenuous piece now, I agree. I thought there were three demands. One is the resignation. The second was the compensation. I don't know, there's no talk about this, about 22.
There's no talk about that, and there's no written guarantee. There is no written guarantee also.
No. Yes. And the third was, of course, withdrawal of each and every case. So one was under the impression that government is withdrawing all the cases. So if this is happening, that means obviously there's a difference between the perception of the two. So I have a feeling that some of the government, see, the question is, if you're talking about withdrawal of cases, then the Union Home Minister has to sit down with the chief ministers also, no? Suppose there are Congress party chief ministers. There was an agitation in, not Goa. Goa is their government. Suppose it was, say, in Karnataka. Then obviously they have to talk about withdrawal of all the cases at a nationwide level, because that is going to be done within the state, right? So if the assurance was given on behalf of everyone, I really don't know what was the exact terms of. But Cockroach Party was very firm that all the cases should be withdrawn everywhere in all the states. So I think that difference will remain. And what has happened in Bihar is actually sullied the reputation of the law and order machinery, because never can you use AK-47 in crowd control. No, for that matter, I'm against the use of even pellet guns for crowd control.
No, but isn't Union Home Minister Amit Shah worried about what's happening to the police, the way they are dealing with crowd control, the way they are managing their own students? AK-47, I mean, it almost looked like as if that police personnel, if you look at the video which is viral, that police personnel is running on the street with that AK-47. It seems that he's chasing a terrorist almost, it seems like. Why can't Amit Shah haul up these police personnel and ask a question?
Well, the Home Minister, the Union Home Minister, has to talk to the State Chief Minister and tell him, because it's a BJP state, and say that, you better answer this question and ask the State Home Minister, you give a statement, give an explanation how this was used, because mere suspension is not enough. You have to answer as to how in crowd control you have used a lethal weapon like this, which is used against, terrorists, and, it's never used for this kind of operation of crowd control.
But do you think that the government will withdraw the cases because of so much of pressure, or people have already started talking about the fact on the social media that there could be some sort of a connivance and the government will backtrack from what they promised and they will not do it because now they have to send out a signal of deterrence that they will take steps as so that the Gen Z doesn't muster the courage to do a repeat of what it did at Jantar Mantar and elsewhere.
There are quite a few things, Neelu. Let me point out the grey areas where the government is not clear. Number one, there was that surveillance being used and that AI recognition tool which was being used at the site, right? So the question is, are they using it for finding out the old, bad people or the criminals to ferret them out, and perhaps instituting cases against them for breaking the orders of limiting the area under 144 CRPC or whatever. And the second is, are they stuck on withdrawal of cases against those people they think they were damaging the public property and who had attacked the policemen? Was this kept different from the issue of withdrawal of cases? Because you see, all of them violated the prohibitory orders, right? But those who attacked, their crime was a little higher. So did they distinguish between the two? You and I don't know. So that is where the difference lies. And we will see this difference cropping up in the future.
Right. But what is your feeling now that people have been alleging that there could be some sort of a nexus between Cockroach Janata Party and the government, just to take the attention away from the Ram Temple theft? What is your sense? I mean, this was a long and a prolonged agitation which took, it was almost there for like 27 days. Could this be some sort of a fixed match thing which you sense? Or it's difficult to say?
No. One thing has definitely happened which has benefited the ruling party. See, the first diversion of attention took place when the actual issue of exam reform, failure of the NEET officials, failure of the minister, that was the only thing remembered. And the whole thing shifted to police brutality. It is police brutality, which is being, talked about right now. And the second thing is that during this entire period, you realize that the main issue was forgotten. What is the main issue? The Ram Mandir. So first the issue of NEET was forgotten and the Ram Mandir issue was forgotten. So, this is not how things are actually done, but it was successful.
But do you feel that there is a possibility of this Gen Z movement again getting triggered? Because no matter what, how many reels Prime Minister Modi may have recorded on Instagram is just not cutting ice with the Gen Z. Whether he's talking about a fast track court, whether he's talking about a special task force, I don't know how much sense it makes, because opposition has been raising the issue that in 2024, when the NEET paper leak happened, there was Radhakrishnan committee which was formed and nobody knows the outcomes. The NTA full-time director also was not appointed. So what is the point in having these task forces or setting up a fast-track court? What is the logic? Do you think that, these are just efforts which look like a deadwood? Will it cut ice with the Gen Z?
Nilu, I have a different take that these committees, high-flown committees, whether they work or not, I mean, putting ISRO scientists and all that's a great thing. And his belief in also the chairman is also very putting the home education. I think the problems are very, very basic. The problems can be addressed if he talks to the chief ministers and why it is happening in the states. That means tackling the coaching mafia, tackling those, brigands, the mafia who are doing it all the time. What is the stake for them to, take out the papers before? There are so many things. So that is more important. This is, a committee is there first. Let's see the outcome. But I'm not too sure that this really helps against you change the structure of the NEET. And I've always said, take it away from the bureaucrats and give it to the academicians. It's their job. It's not theirs. Okay?
Well, so let's see what happens tomorrow. Parliament has been adjourned. Thank you so much, Mr. Azad, for joining on HW News. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.